Be me, 44, Chief Operating Officer at manufacturing company in Milwaukee. Salary, $215,000 plus equity. Been climbing corporate ladder for 19 years. Company is called Great Lakes Manufacturing. We make industrial machinery components. Family-owned business gone public 10 years ago. 520 employees, $180 million revenue. Make parts for heavy equipment, construction machinery, agricultural implements. Old school manufacturing, been around since 1968, traditional culture. I joined as operations manager 6 years ago, promoted to COO 2 years ago. First woman in C-suite in company's history, proud of breaking that barrier. Report to CEO, manage day-to-day operations, oversee production and logistics. Also sit on executive committee with CEO, CFO, VP Sales, VP Engineering. CFO is guy named Robert Shun, 51, been with company 14 years. He's the financial conscience of the company, conservative with money. Always pushing back on spending, questioning investments, demanding ROI analysis. Drives the other executives crazy with his caution and scrutiny. CEO is Tom Williams, 62, founder's son, more focused on legacy than numbers. He wants to grow, expand, modernize, make his mark on family business. Robert is always the one saying we can't afford that, or the margins don't work. Tom find him frustrating. So do I. Feels like he's blocking progress. When I arrived 6 years ago, company was stuck in old ways. Outdated equipment, manual processes, resistance to technology. I've been pushing modernization, automation, efficiency improvements. Robert has questioned every initiative, demanded detailed financial justification. Not because he's against progress, but because he wants proof of return. It's exhausting. Every proposal requires 50-page financial analysis. Can't just say this is better, have to prove it saves money or increases revenue. Year 1 as COO, I propose $8 million equipment upgrade for main production line. New CNC machines, automated quality control, modern tooling. Would increase capacity 30%, reduce labor costs, improve precision. Robert digs into proposal, comes back with concerns. Your ROI calculation assumes 85% capacity utilization. We're currently at 62%. We'll grow into the capacity. Demand is increasing. Our order backlog doesn't support that assumption. This is speculative. You're being too conservative. Manufacturing is evolving. And we have $12 million in debt. $8 million investment would strain our credit line. Tom sides with me. Robert, we need to modernize to stay competitive. I agree we need to modernize, but timing and scale matter. This is why we hired a COO, to make these operational decisions. Robert backs down, but makes his objections clear in the minutes. We proceed with equipment purchase. It's exciting. It's progress. Year 2, equipment is installed. We're ramping up production. But demand doesn't materialize like I projected. Capacity sits at 68%. We're paying debt service on $8 million loan, but not seeing revenue increase. Robert mentions this in executive meetings. Utilization is below projection. It takes time to build customer base for increased capacity. How much time, and what's the plan to get there? We're pursuing new clients, expanding sales territories. He's skeptical. I can see it, but I'm COO. Operations is my domain. Meanwhile, I'm noticing Robert's leadership style. It's problematic. He's direct, sometimes blunt, questions people's assumptions publicly. In executive meetings, he'll challenge proposals, poke holes in logic. Not just with me, with everyone, VP Sales, VP Engineering, even CEO sometimes. It creates tension. People feel attacked, defensive, uncomfortable. Start documenting these instances, building case about his behavior. Undermines colleague proposals in public forums. Creates hostile environment through aggressive questioning. Demonstrates lack of emotional intelligence in executive interactions. Month 18, I propose another major initiative, $5 million facility expansion. adding 40,000 square feet, new production lines, hiring 35 workers. Demand is finally picking up. We need capacity. Timing is right. Robert reviews proposal. Comes to executive meeting with spreadsheet. This expansion assumes 15% revenue growth for next 3 years. Industry growth is 6%. Where's the additional 9% coming from? We're taking market share from competitors with our modernization. Our market share has been flat for 18 months despite equipment investment. That's because we're capacity constrained now. Expansion solves that. No, we're utilization constrained. We're running at 68% of current capacity. He projects the numbers, shows we'd be at 52% utilization with expansion. This will be financial disaster. We can't service more debt at these margins. Tom is wavering. Robert raises valid concerns. Robert always raises concerns. That's all he does, blocks progress. I'm trying to prevent financial mistakes that could threaten the company. You're being overly cautious. Manufacturing requires bold moves. Meeting ends tensely. Tom tables the decision, wants more analysis. I'm frustrated, furious actually. Robert is blocking me again. More than that, his behavior in the meeting was aggressive, borderline hostile. The way he challenged my projections, questioned my competence publicly. Start talking to Tom privately. Robert's leadership style is toxic. He undermines the executive team, creates negative culture. He's just doing his job. Financial oversight is CFO's responsibility. There's a difference between oversight and obstruction, between questioning assumptions and attacking people. Plant seeds about Robert being the problem, about his toxic masculinity. Month 20, another incident. Robert questions VP sales forecast. VP sales projects 20% revenue growth based on new client pipeline. Robert asks for details, conversion rates, deal sizes, close probabilities. VP sales gets defensive. You never believe our forecasts. I believe forecasts based on realistic assumptions and historical data. You're calling me a liar in front of the executive team. I'm asking you to justify your projections. That's my job. Meeting deteriorates. VP sales storms out. Robert sits there calmly. This is perfect example of his toxic behavior. I document it thoroughly. Talk to VP sales afterward. Robert's behavior was unacceptable. He makes me feel like I don't know my own business. That's classic undermining, toxic leadership. We should address this. Build coalition. VP sales is on board. VP engineering is sympathetic. We're all tired of Robert's constant questioning, his negativity, his resistance. Month 22, bring formal complaint to Tom about Robert's leadership. Multiple executives have expressed concerns about Robert's behavior. He creates hostile environment through aggressive questioning and public challenges. This is affecting team morale and our ability to execute strategy. Show him my documentation, quotes from meetings, pattern of behavior. Tom is reluctant. Robert is thorough, maybe too thorough, but effective. Effectiveness without emotional intelligence is toxic leadership. We need CFO who supports executive team, not one who attacks us. Tom agrees to address it, has conversation with Robert about leadership style. Robert apparently pushes back. Financial oversight requires asking hard questions. If executives can't defend their proposals, that's not my problem. This makes it worse. He's refusing to acknowledge the issue. Month 24, 2 years as COO, company financials are getting concerning. Revenue growth is flat. We're at $178 million, down from $180 million when I started. Debt has increased from $12 million to $25 million due to equipment and operating expenses. Profit margins are compressed. Cash flow is tight. Credit line is maxed. Robert presents quarterly financials to board. His presentation is stark. Revenue decline of 1% year over year, below industry growth rate. EBITDA down 15% due to increased debt service and underutilized capacity. Current trajectory is unsustainable. We need strategic course correction. He recommends pausing all capital investments, Focus on operational efficiency. Also recommends evaluating recent capital expenditures for ROI failure. This is direct shot at my equipment purchase. He's blaming me publicly. After board meeting, I confront him. You're undermining my leadership. I'm reporting financial reality. The board deserves accurate information. You made it sound like my initiatives are failing. Your initiatives are failing. The numbers prove it. How dare you? I'm trying to modernize this company, and I'm trying to keep it solvent. Those are different goals. Month 25, I make my move, go to Tom with ultimatum. Robert has to go. His toxic leadership is destroying the executive team. He publicly blamed me in board meeting for financial performance. This is untenable. Either he leaves or I leave. Tom is conflicted. Robert is right about the numbers, though. Numbers aren't everything. Leadership and culture matter. In manufacturing, numbers are almost everything. Margins are thin. You hire me to transform operations. I can't do that with CFO blocking me. Put him in an impossible position. New COO versus long-term CFO. But I'm a change agent. I'm the future. Robert is the past. Tom makes decision. I'll talk to the board about transitioning Robert out. Month 26, board meeting. Tom proposes replacing Robert as CFO. Leadership style concerns, not aligned with company's growth vision. Cultural fit issues with executive team. Board is surprised. Robert has been there 14 years, well respected. One board member asks, what specifically is the concern? Tom presents my documentation, pattern of aggressive behavior. Creates hostile environment through constant challenging of proposals. Undermines executive confidence through public questioning. Another board member, woman named Patricia, asks, what does Robert say? He believes he's doing his job, providing financial oversight, but his approach is damaging to team dynamics and morale. Vote is 5-4 to allow Robert's termination, very narrow margin. Robert is given severance package, 6 months pay, asked to leave immediately. He cleans out his office quietly, doesn't make scene, very professional. On his way out, he says to me, the numbers don't lie, you'll see. What's that supposed to mean? Cryptic bullshit, good riddance. Month 27, we hire new CFO, woman named Michelle, 38, from consulting background. She's modern, collaborative, emotionally intelligent, everything Robert wasn't. First meeting, she's positive and supportive. Let's talk about growth opportunities. Finally, as CFO who understands we need to invest to grow, I repropose the facility expansion, $5 million. Michelle is receptive. I see the strategic vision. Let's find a way to make this work financially. Music to my ears. This is what partnership looks like. We present to Tom. He approves. Expansion moves forward. Borrow another $5 million. Start construction. Hire contractors. Feeling vindicated. Month 30. Expansion is underway. Budget is ballooning. $5 million becomes $6.8 million. Construction delays. Material costs increased. Labor shortages. Typical stuff. Michelle is concerned, but not blocking. We'll manage through this. Meanwhile, orders are soft. Demand hasn't materialized like projected. Still running at 65% capacity on existing equipment. Expansion looks premature. Month 32, expansion complete, new space is ready, equipment being installed. Total cost, $7.2 million, 44% over original budget. Debt is now $32 million. Monthly debt service is crushing cash flow. We're burning through reserves. New space sits mostly empty. No orders to justify the capacity. Sales team can't close deals. Competition is fierce. Margins are compressed. Michelle presents quarterly financials. They're bad, really bad. Revenue down 8% year over year. EBITDA down 35%. Cash position critical. We're projecting $4 million cash shortfall in next 6 months. Tom is pale. How do we get here? Series of investments that haven't generated projected returns. She's diplomatic, doesn't blame me, but reality is clear. Month 34, emergency board meeting, company is in crisis. Can't make payroll next month without emergency financing. Bank is reviewing our credit line, considering calling a loan. Board brings an outside consultant to assess situation. Consultant's report is brutal, traces problems directly to my decisions. Equipment purchase in year 1. Projected 85% utilization, actual 64%. ROI timeline was 4 years. At current utilization, it's 9+ years. Facility expansion. Projected 15% revenue growth, actual 8% decline. Total capital deployed, $15.2 million. Total revenue increase, minus $14 million. Every decision I made, every initiative I pushed, laid out as failure. Consultant's conclusion, operational strategy was not aligned with market reality. CFO's concerns were well-founded and should have been heeded. Board member Patricia speaks up. This is damning. Where was financial oversight? Our CFO raised concerns and was removed for being difficult. Who recommended removing him? Tom has to admit, I made that decision based on leadership concerns. Raised by whom? COO felt his behavior was toxic and undermining. Patricia pulls out old board minutes from when Robert was CFO. He projected exactly this scenario, warned about overinvestment, recommended pausing expansion until utilization improved, was explicitly overruled by operational leadership. She's looking at me, whole board is looking at me. He was blocking necessary modernization. He was providing accurate financial analysis that was ignored. Another board member, where is Robert now? He was terminated 8 months ago for leadership style issues. Leadership style? He was right about everything. The vindication is setting in. Robert was right all along. His aggressive questioning wasn't toxic, it was necessary. His resistance wasn't obstruction, it was protection. And we fired him for doing his job correctly. Board votes unanimously to remove me as COO effective immediately. Your decisions have put this company at risk of insolvency. You removed the executive who was providing accurate warnings. You prioritized personal conflicts over fiduciary responsibility. Walk out that afternoon with severance, 3 months minimal. Michelle lasts another 2 months before being replaced. Board brings in turnaround CFO, older guy with bankruptcy experience. He immediately contacts Robert, asks him to consult on restructuring. Robert agrees, comes back as highly paid consultant to fix the mess. His first recommendation, halt all capital spending, sell new equipment at loss. His second recommendation, lay off 80 workers, close the new expansion space. His third recommendation, renegotiate debt with bank to avoid bankruptcy. Everything he would have prevented if we'd listened to him. Company survives, but barely. Takes 3 years to stabilize. Downsized to 410 employees. Revenue back to $165 million, profitable again. Robert becomes permanent CFO again. Board begs him to return. He does, with significant raise and seat on board of directors. I'm unemployable as COO. News spread about the disaster. Executive who fired CFO, then proved him right by nearly bankrupting company. That's my legacy. That's what searches show. Apply for operations roles. No one will touch me. You dismissed financial warnings and lost the company $15 million. You fired CFO for being right. That shows terrible judgment. 6 months unemployed. Have to take operations manager role. Small manufacturer, 50 employees, $68,000 salary, third of what I made. From COO of 520-person company to manager of 50-person operation. From $215,000 to $68,000. From respected executive to cautionary tale. 1 year after being fired, run into Robert at industry conference. He's presenting on financial oversight in manufacturing. Sees me in audience, nods acknowledgement, continues presentation. His talk is about importance of CFOs challenging assumptions. Financial oversight isn't about being liked, it's about being right. Good CFO will make executives uncomfortable with hard questions. That discomfort is not toxic leadership, it's fiduciary responsibility. He's talking about our situation without naming it. Everyone knows. After presentation, he approaches me. I expect gloating. How are you doing? Working as operations manager at small manufacturer, rebuilding. He nods. I heard. I'm sorry it ended that way. Wait, he's apologizing? He was right about everything. You don't need to apologize. You were right and I was wrong. I was right about the numbers, but I could have been more diplomatic. No, you were doing your job. I just didn't want to hear it. He's quiet for a moment. You know what I learned from this? What? That being right isn't enough if you can't convince people. I had the data, but I couldn't get the executive team to listen. Maybe if I'd built better relationships, found better ways to communicate. This is insane. He's taking responsibility for my failures. Robert, you gave clear warnings with solid analysis. I called you toxic and got you fired because I didn't like hearing no. That's all on me, not on your communication style. He shrugs. Maybe, but I'm working on being more collaborative. Company is better now. We're stable, growing sustainably. Still asking hard questions, but try to do it more constructively. We talk for a few more minutes. He's gracious, professional, kind. Everything I accused him of not being, he actually was. His toxic behavior was just competent financial management. His aggressive questioning was just thorough analysis. His undermining was just protecting the company from bad decisions. And I got him fired for it, because he made me feel stupid. 2 years later, I'm 46, still at small manufacturer, making $72,000. Great Lakes Manufacturing is thriving under Robert's renewed leadership. They're profitable, debt is down, expanding carefully with his oversight. Tom retired, Robert is interim CEO, board is making it permanent. The guy I fired for toxic leadership is now running the company, and doing it better than anyone because he understands the numbers. 3 years later, see article in industry publication. CFO Robert Shun turns around Great Lakes Manufacturing. After near bankruptcy, company returns to profitability under disciplined financial leadership. Article quotes him. Financial discipline isn't popular, but it's necessary. Good leadership means making decisions based on data, not emotions. Sometimes the person saying no is the most important person in the room. He's celebrated now, seen as hero who saved the company. After being fired, brought back, vindicated completely. Comments praise his integrity, his courage to speak truth. Rare executive who prioritizes company over personal popularity. I'm never mentioned in the article, but everyone in industry knows. I'm a COO who ignored him, fired him, nearly destroyed the company. While he was right all along, warning us, protecting us, doing his job. Now I'm here, 47, making $72,000 at small manufacturer, managing operations for company that could never afford my mistakes. Watching Robert's career soar while mine ended. All because I called his competence toxic, called his thoroughness aggressive, called his protection undermining, when really he was just being a good CFO. And I was being a bad COO who couldn't handle criticism. That's the truth, painful truth, expensive truth. Cost Great Lakes $15 million and nearly destroyed them. Cost me my career, my reputation, my executive future. Cost 80 workers their jobs during the restructuring. All because I fired the person who was trying to stop me from making catastrophic mistakes that he predicted with precision. Because he understood numbers, and I only understood ego. That's what I live with now, at 47, at $72,000. Former COO who fired the CFO for being right when I was wrong, and learned too late. That toxic isn't the person asking hard questions. It's the person who can't handle the answers. That was me, not him. And everyone knows it now, especially me, every day at my small manufacturing job, where nobody questions my decisions. Because the decisions don't matter enough to require a Robert Shun to tell me no and save the company from me.